Are we live, Corona?
You're live.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. I'm Stephanie. I am the PIO for the department. Thanks for joining us today for a Q&A session with Mike. You have asked some questions via the form. If you have additional questions throughout the session, please go ahead and submit them via the form, or you can just message me. I will try to get to as many questions as we can. Mike, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. And again, thanks to everyone for joining us. I know, again, we're still in some challenging times. You keep thinking that we're going to get through this, and then we still have more challenges. And I appreciate everyone's perseverance and dedication with these challenging times as a backdrop. So I think we're doing some great things still. We've had some interesting times with the pandemic. It's just when you think we've got this, there's a little bit of an uptick, and I think hopefully everyone is staying safe and being careful, and we're not seeing too much with our employees. And so I just want to continue to urge everyone to stay safe out there. I did want to go through just a few things about some happenings within the agency. I think we're having some fun, again, with this backdrop of a challenge of the pandemic, but we are having some fun. And one of the fun things I've been watching, not that I picked a very good bracket, but our Geek Madness. That's just been a ton of fun. But one thing, one of my takeaways from the Geek Madness, not that I know how to pick the winners in my bracket, but we've got some really innovative, creative folks that have assembled a number of different technologies and brought them together for something like this. And so it's just incredible to see that come together. And I think ESPN and others are jealous about the platform that we've built and the technology that's built into it, because I think it's just phenomenal. So we have I think we're down to the Elite Eight, and I think we will be rolling this afternoon. So please join us this afternoon as we get down to the finals. I couldn't watch much of the NBA finals last night, but it was I hear that there's some silver linings out there with all of this going on. So yeah, please join us this afternoon for another roll off, and we'll see how that fares. I have to tell you that I think at the moment Cass is in the lead, and she knows how to pick them. I would have never picked Knuckle Sandwich, but somehow there's some amazing Cinderella sleepers in the brackets. And so if you picked them, congrats, and Cass, congrats to you. We'll see how that stands this next roll off. We also are going to have a Halloween costume contest. You might wonder how that's going to happen. I haven't even figured out how I'm going to give trick-or-treat candy or what that might look like for me, but we are going to try a virtual Halloween costume contest. And so send us photos of your costume, your pet's costume, and whatever. We're going to have some fun with it. We'll get some details out to you soon, but just know that we're trying to still have some fun with this. I feel like maybe we're getting behind the times of promoting Halloween. I went to Home Depot the other day, and they've got Christmas up, and so it's just really fascinating to see, even with the challenges. The retailers are sure trying to figure this out. So anyway, we're excited about the costume contest that's coming up. Again, we won't have the things in the office like we have in the past, but certainly try and have some fun. Also, we're going to have another DTS photo contest. We've had we have some incredible photographers out there. I don't know if they're enthusiasts, they're hobbyists, they're professionals, but we really have some amazing photographers in the organization as well. And we've been able to put some up on the walls in the office. Our lobby features an incredible delicate arch, and we've just really have enjoyed the talent and everyone sharing that. And so when we move into the new building, we need to have some new art there, some new photography on the walls, and so we'll have that displayed, and we'll have some of them printed out, and as part of our move to the TSOB next year. So anyway, stay tuned. You'll see that coming soon. Wanted to make sure we got that out early in case anyone wants to do some fall colors or some winter colors, or maybe submit something you've already taken. Just again, incredible photographers out there, and I don't even get lucky as much as I see some of the great work that goes on. So anyway, stay tuned for that. We'll get those details out, and so that you can see, you know, some of the artwork that we have going on in our new space. Also, the charitable fund drive is starting to get into full swing. You should have the details for that already from Megan. If you haven't seen that, search your spam for an email from Megan Gordon. Hopefully it didn't end up there. But the deadline for donating is November 26th. So we want to make sure that everybody has seen that. I think now that more than ever, there's going to be some need out there. And if there is an opportunity for you to give in some small way, I know that it's needed. The economy has had some challenges, unemployment's had some challenges. And so I think if there's anything we can do for those that have been able to hang on to our jobs, if there is some option for you, please consider. And so that again should be in your email from Megan Gordon, who's running our campaign this year, and we're excited to see the things that come out of that every year. Let's see. Also, we've had some awards this year. I want to recognize some incredible folks out at DWS. The Department of Labor recognized Utah unemployment with the top honors, and that in 3 areas. First of all, benefit payments, tax operations, and program integrity. And so we were recognized in those 3 spaces, as well as the performance and appeals. And so we want to make sure that we recognize everyone that's put so much effort into that. Thank you to DTS employees across the board, and especially those in DWS. Your work has been recognized. I think the minute the award was presented, I received an email from the IT director saying, "Hey, look, we have so many folks that are in DTS that have been working on that. So know that your work is recognized, and appreciate you doing all that you've done. And I'm sure that we'll continue to set a high bar for the rest of the country. So thanks again." Also, our Utah.gov won an outstanding web award for outstanding achievement. Sorry, I didn't say that very well. So Utah.gov won the 2020 web award for outstanding achievement. And so this is actually done by a marketing association that was founded in 1997. And it really does set the standard for internet marketing. And so they evaluate a number of websites worldwide. And we, again, won the award for our Utah.gov space, and we'll send out some details on that and kind of draw your attention to some of the things that we won as part of that, or some of the details around the award. We'll want to get that out to you. Also, our Government Experience Awards, we're doing a great job there. We took second place overall behind Mississippi. Congrats to Mississippi. They do some great things. I think we do some really good things. Some of the accolades they received were things that we've done, but certainly I want to thank everyone for the effort that goes into every aspect of the Utah citizens experience with us. And so that's recognized. And there was one actual project that stood out and that received a national award as part of this. And that was the Wildlife Migration Initiative by DWR. So again, thanks to everyone. There's so much work going on, and we're being recognized with these awards. And hopefully you'll see that some of your work is in that. Also coming up, October, we're just in October. I think today's say the first or second. I think it's the first. Okay, so the first. So October has always been Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We have a declaration from the governor. We're part of this is a national effort, and we will always want to make sure that we're focused on cybersecurity this month. This year's message is do your part, hashtag be cyber smart. And so I think that's very wise for us as employees, as we're always trying to up our security. I know everyone's ultra careful on things they open in their email, and we're trying to message that out. We're also trying to find creative ways for our cyber training throughout with our employees. And so make sure that you're doing your part and making sure that you're personally accountable for your actions. And then at the same time being proactive to help others. And so if you can do that, I think we will raise the bar for all of us in state government. And also, as a side note, make sure that you take the cybersecurity awareness training if you haven't already. It's been out there for a bit. I know we put a lot of effort into making that appropriate for the time, and I think it is. And so make sure that you jump into that and take care of that. We always like to be one of those agencies. We like to be the agency that demonstrates 100% on the security awareness training, and again set a high bar for the other agencies. It does nothing but pay dividends for us. Let's see. COVID reminders. Unfortunately, as I was mentioning earlier, we are having challenges with still with the coronavirus. I know Utah County has had some challenges there, and I believe they've fallen under a mask mandate. They're truly trying to get in front of this, and I think it's just little hot spots that keep flaring up that kind of spread easily. And so we want to make sure that, again, that we're doing all we can to make sure that we're as careful as we can be. Salt Lake City has moved to yellow. We're working though, just no change as far as coming into the office, anything like that for now. Let's just stay the course and not have these kinds of flare-ups that we're seeing, these hot spots around the state. I think the more we do in the current environment seems to be working. So let's stay the course and not change anything we're doing. And always remember, look out for your loved ones and for your neighbors that may need your help. Also, we'll let you know if anything changes. We're always following the guidance of the Unified Command of the CDC, the Department of Health, the Governor's Office. Everybody is really focused on this, and we're taking our lead from them and making sure that we're doing all we can to get around and get out in front of this. Also, right now, we don't know when there will be a return to work. I've seen a few folks coming into the 6th floor here, and periodically to kind of get things ready for the big move next year. And on one hand, I have to say it's kind of been fun to see some folks in the office and kind of see the cleanup that's going on. And know that people are safe. And so let's continue to just stay the course, do what we're doing now, continue to telework, and make sure you're doing what you can to stay safe. Now, as part of that teleworking, we always need to make sure that we have the telework form. Maybe Dan may want to offer some commentary on that as he's collecting all those, but please complete that form and the trainings required that go with that. We need to report metrics to the governor's office to ensure that we don't lose this benefit. And I just worry that we might be lax in getting that paperwork filled out and getting it processed and getting the metrics checked and identified so that we cannot lose this benefit. So I really need everyone to do that and just, again, stay the course as far as this goes. But again, Dan, anything I missed on getting that paperwork to you?
We will be sending out some additional email communication probably tomorrow or Monday.
Okay.
That will have the links and the trainings, the new trainings, and again, making sure everyone moves to the telework and away from maybe telecommute if they fit the definition.
Well, good point. I forgot to raise that yes, you may need to change some classification from telecommute to telework. And so good point. Okay, just make sure we get that in, all turned in. Again, I'd hate to lose this benefit. It's really been working. I think we're seeing a lot of good things going on, as I mentioned, those awards. And so it still is working. Let's not change anything. I just had the update come up on my screen that we had 1,000 new cases of coronavirus. So that number is still not going down. So again, stay safe out there. DHRM sent out a telework survey. No, it wasn't spam. It wasn't a phishing attack. I mean, that would be a cruel joke if I said, yeah, it's not a phishing scam, and it was, but no, it really isn't. There's some statistics about how telework is going and what we need to do to can complete the or can still keep this benefit. And so please complete the survey. The information is needed, and please make sure that you fill that out timely. Also, when you're in the office, wear a mask. It is still required in all state facilities. I know myself, I sometimes will cheat just trying to run to the restroom and back, and I feel guilty when I encounter another person in the hallway, so I'm trying to do a better job myself, even just being in. When I'm in my office by myself, I usually don't wear my mask, but when we're out and about, if I'm walking over to the Capitol, I will always have it on. So please do the same thing and make sure that we're following the governor's executive order. Let's see. Also, I lost what I was going to talk about next. Well, if you have been exposed to the coronavirus, please let HR know. They will help you with any leave that you need if you're in a waiting period for your results to come back. If you're quarantining or anything like that, or you're caring for someone that is sick, please contact HR. They will help you navigate that, and managers out there will make sure that we figure out ways that we can be flexible, even with work and etc. So that we're still in this. And like I said, just 1,008 new cases today, reported today for yesterday. So again, we're still trying to get it out in front of this. And again, as I've always stressed, I want everyone to feel safe. And so a work issue or something like that, let's find the right balance where you can carry out your job duties and be safe at the same time. Now, one thing that's coming up, I actually just signed up for mine. I had to get a time slot for flu shots. Make sure that you get that. There's, I know, some maybe conflicting information. For me and many out there, please get your flu shot, because I think the compounding effect, if you don't have it, or even the question as to whether or not you're infected with the virus or you somehow contracted it, comes off the table with the flu shot. There's an email that went out. You can sign up for a time slot that you actually are required to sign up time slot. You just can't walk in. Maybe they have some walk-in times, I don't remember, but you need to sign up for a time and a clinic. And Stephanie has sent out an email to all of you, and so it has that information in there. That it will not be at the state office building. I'm going to miss that. I signed up down at the Olene Walker building, and so make sure that you sign up, get your flu shot, and it just takes a lot of that worry off the table. Let's see. I'm kind of just going through all of my agenda very quickly. I apologize. Wanted to get to some questions, but we had our rate committee last week. The rates were approved by the rate committee. What that means is that they are ready for the legislature to approve, and so that's kind of the steps that we go through, is getting the rates evaluated, getting them through our rate committee, getting them to the legislature to approve, and then finally the governor signs off on the fee bill, which includes our rates. One of the changes that was in the rate change, which you can view online, is that our sysadmins will be hourly effective July 1st. And so some of the benefits of doing that allows us to get closer to this DevOps environment that we've been trying to get to. It does allow the agencies to consume exactly what they want, and it does allow them to say, hey, let's bring on more. I'm going to call them DevOps types people, where they're more of a sysadmin operational role, but entrenched with the development staff. And so that will allow us to move forward quickly on projects and even get to the cloud more easily. And want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. I know this is a big change. We're continuing to get this organization restructured that will allow for this, but the change will be that yes, sysadmins would need to check their time against projects they're working on, so that we can bill back to the agencies for that, just like the developers do. This again, it gives us some opportunities on many fronts, even if it costs us more to take care of regulated agencies. That we have a number of audits that come through. There's a lot of time allocated. This will allow us to really focus the effort on where the effort is needed, and allow the agencies to buy more or less depending on their needs. And so it really does change the model to a consumption-based model, which is, I think, a big desire for all of us. But again, I'm really excited to see us move into this DevOps space and really accelerate some of our projects here in the agency, or with the agencies. And lastly, yesterday was Employee Appreciation Day. I know it's been a tough year. And so with the governor declaring yesterday as State Employee Appreciation Day in Utah, I just also wanted to say thank you. The governor recognizes the great effort that goes into all that we do. I certainly recognize that, and I really do appreciate it. There's always challenges right now with rewarding the employees that we're used to with these challenging times. But we will try and find ways that we can do that. We'll still have some fun. We'll still try and do some things when these challenging times subside. But I really do appreciate the work that goes on. It's always great. It's phenomenal to see the incredible work that goes on. I know there's probably a lot of pressure. You may be feeling more pressure right now to do some things. We're just trying to be supportive of these goals that we have with the agencies. But we'll get through it. We'll make sure that everyone gets rewarded in other ways. But right now, the governor certainly wanted to recognize everybody for the great work that's going on. And I too have to take my hat off to everyone in the great work that's gone on there. So with that, Stephanie, I think that takes us through the things I wanted to talk about, and maybe we can just jump into some of the Q&A and
Sure.
see if there's anything else out there.
Sounds good. Okay, along the lines with employee appreciation, is the ASI freeze still on? And the ASIs are raises. And do we expect any change in the coming months?
Yes, we've still had that. The freeze is still on. Doesn't mean that we can't hire new employees. I have seen some employees take on different roles in the agencies, and that would warrant sometimes an ASI, or at least an increase in pay. But we're still on a freeze for now. I see that change probably not in the next couple months, but maybe the next few months. And so that, I would say that as the environment gets a little better out there, that we would be able to do some things that would reward employees. I know these are challenging times. I know financially they may be challenging as well. These are realities. It's also a reality that the state is continuing to make cuts, and they're always evaluating those cuts and what kind of effects they have. As a matter of fact, I remember in the committees when I was presenting what some of these cuts that they were making to DTS, what the effects would be. The concern was always, is this going to cut any FTEs? And if there was a FTE reduction, they would circle back and say, well, let's talk about that one. So you know that the legislature was certainly concerned about any cuts as far as FTEs go. But is there a way to keep the number of FTEs that we had while at the same time no one would lose their job? And so I think the fallout has been that we've kind of still had the pause button on the ASIs and other types of incentives like that for now. I think in the coming months that may change, but we're just, again, wanting to make sure that we're through these challenging times. The legislature, I think, in first part of January, and when the governor rolls out his budget in December, we'll get some indicators as to where it feels like the economy is. The forecasts are coming out. The unemployment's looking really optimistic, but we're still waiting for the governor to roll out his budget, which again comes out in December. The early indicators from the legislature will be in January, February. Again, when we started to get a read on those kinds of indicators, and we have a new governor coming in. And so as that new governor gets his priorities, we'll start to see what the lay of the land looks like and how we can move forward on those.
Great. Kind of along those same lines, I know we've talked about this before, but is there any change in allowing employees to keep annual leave that would expire at the end of the year over 320 hours?
That's an HR rule, and it requires an HR exemption. And again, I think I talked about this last time, which I would hope that people are at least getting away from the office a little bit. I talked about that book, Peak for Performance, and I know I got an email from an employee that ran out and grabbed the book and read it. And so I'm glad at least one or two people hear our discussion today. But I really think that I'm a firm believer of working hard and playing hard. So get out, enjoy time away from the office. There are projects out there that I know require attention, but also at the same time, get out and enjoy things. I mean, the leaves are turning. There's a lot of opportunities out there. It's a challenge to get an HR exemption. I'm going to say that is not easy, and I don't think that they're handed out that often. So we'll continue to evaluate, but just know that it's not likely that we would get much of an exemption for this HR rule.
Okay. Could you talk a little bit about the services we provide to the legislature and just kind of clarify our support role there?
That's a great question, Stephanie. We have had varying levels of support for the legislature for years. We used to support their phone systems eons ago, and they've kind of thought that they wanted to go in a different direction than the rest of us, and so they got their own phone system a while ago, and then they moved servers out of our data center into closets, and we used to provide desktop support, and I believe they've severed that tie as well. You may have heard of late that they're bringing in their own network from the Utah Education Network to support their network initiatives. I just think the legislature likes to do what they want to do, and great. It's a different branch of government. I remember hearing the governor always say it's supposed to be a healthy conflict, and actually I was reading that this morning, that there's still there's supposed to be this healthy tension, which is a check and balance in government. And so whatever they feel they need to do to get that the right balance of support from, what I'm going to say, we focus on a lot of the executive branch stuff, and sometimes the legislative branch has used our services, and I think right now it appears that they're getting off of our network to use the Utah Education Network. And so it's just kind of, you've seen this evolution with how they utilize our services over time. And I don't think that affects us as an agency too much. I think there could be efficiencies if all branches of government did things the same way. But again, there's always this healthy tension that goes on. to make sure that the citizens get the best that they can. Is that always the case with some of these? I'm not sure, but I still don't see a big change for us as DTS, even with the legislature moving off of our network now. So it does. We've been very supportive. We've been very helpful in getting them to this point. To be honest, we've had some of our folks helping them redesign the network here on the Hill as they've brought in the UETN. Excuse me, I need to call it UETN. Bring in the UETN fiber here on the Hill to allow them to plug into that. And so, in any case, I still see us as having a partnership with some things. If nothing else, just to bounce ideas off of one another and talk about how each group is doing things and how that's going to look in the future. So anyway, long story short, I don't see a big change for DTS, but again, the legislature has just kind of had this evolution of changing a need from our services.
Great. Okay, aside from the top 10 priorities that DTS has right now, what new innovative solutions do you see Utah exploring that was identified because of the pandemic and more people working from home?
There's I think I always say that state government is a target-rich environment, that this is open the doors for a lot of opportunities for us to be more innovative. I'd love to see us taking advantage of some RPAs, even to process some artificial intelligence that would process repetitive work that we could just hand off to an RPA or something like that. I don't know that we've done a lot in that space, but I think with the pandemic and the changes that are coming, it's really opened the door for us to look inside and say, hey, what can we do? I certainly think that teleworking is going to change a little bit on how we output work, that kind of thing. It's a little different when you're trying to get in maybe a scrum team, having a stand-up meeting and doing that virtually. I think it can be done. And I think it's really pushing the envelope on technology. So you'll see broadband needs change. You'll see our video conferencing needs change. You'll see some of our security solutions change. But in the end, I think the value that comes back that we learn could be applied to all agencies. And so I do see this as an opportunity for us to kind of be a leader and show other agencies how we could do things, how we can solve some of the challenges that they may even have, and how we work together on changing that workspace. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, one last question.
Uh-oh.
Or comment, I guess.
What's that?
Utah football is back.
Utah football is back. That's like, if there's any silver lining, that's right. I have been a BYU football fan last little while, and so they're playing. I thought you were going to ask me Lakers or Heat, but yeah, I grew up in LA and grew up a Lakers fan. I'm completely a Jazz fan, but I see Crowder over on the Heat. I don't know who I'm cheering for on that, but anyway. But now that Utah football is back, there's that takes away any indecisiveness I might have. So yeah, hopefully everybody's enjoying some of that out there. So
okay. Good. Anything else you want to add?
No, just again, thank you. I know these are challenging times, and I know that this is going to end eventually. I keep hearing different possibilities on how to get through this. It's crazy times. I don't know if I've shared this before, and excuse me if I have and being too personal, but I've seen my wife trying to teach school virtually, and it's chaos. It's really chaos, but they're making it work. And I think we just need to stay the course a little longer, get through this time. And I know 2020 was a blur. It really, since March when this first started, it's really been crazy. But just stay the course. We'll get through this. thank you for everything. Again, I can't express my appreciation enough for the many great things that are going out there, and the national recognition and the local recognition that goes out with that. So again, just thank you, and appreciate your time today.
Thanks, everyone. We will see you next month. If you have any questions in the meantime, please let us know. See you next month.
Bye.